Good morning, Year 6. It is Tuesday the 20th and it's time for your second reading comprehension of the week. To begin this reading comprehension, we're going to start how we start every single reading comprehension with our picture prompt. Can you look carefully at this picture? You have to look really carefully because actually there's some hidden details in this picture, which you'll only see if you look really closely. Can you please do your retrieve, your infer, and your predict task? We should be really good at this now, but just as a quick recap, for your retrieve, you're just saying something that you can see in the picture. For your infer, you are taking different things you can see and coming up with a conclusion. I think this because in the picture I can see this, this, and this. And for your prediction, you are saying if this was a story, what do you predict will happen next? And don't forget to start that one with I predict that. Pause the video here and then complete your retrieve, your infer, and your predict task. So today's text is from The Secret of Nightingale Wood, and it's actually chapter 7 of this book, so we're jumping in halfway through. Let me read you the blurb of this book. Debut author Lucy Strange tells a touching story, rich in atmosphere and with a strong historical background, capturing a young girl's need for courage and her way of finding it. Henry's, short for Henrietta, his life is turned upside down following the death of her brother. Following a move to the country, Henry finds herself almost alone. Her despairing father disappears on a work trip, while her mother takes her to bed and becomes a prisoner of the doctor. Henry finds help and friendship from Moth, the mysterious woman who lives in the woods. Together, they refashion Henry's life and she begins to heal. So here is some key vocabulary you will need to know in order to access this text. Now there's quite a lot today. There's a grand total of 10 words. Normally I would ask you to find the definitions of all the words and write down the definitions. For today, I do expect you to find the definitions of all 10 words. However, a lot of these words come up in the questions. So for today, you don't need to write down the vocabulary definitions. However, if you don't spend time now looking at what all these words mean, you'll find it really difficult later on to access the text and to answer some of the questions. So it's definitely in your best interest to stop the video now and to go and research all these words, either in a dictionary or you can research them online. Now that you've done that, it's time to have a read of today's text. Can you pause the video here, go to the team's reading channel, download today's extract and have a read. It should take you between 5 to 10 minutes. Once you've done that, come back here to look through some of the guided questions. So our two guided questions today look very similar. The first one says, what does the author do to create a sense of unease about the attic? Use evidence to support your answer. And the second one says, what impression do you get of the attic? Now the first one is all about what the author does. So he makes us uneasy, he makes us feel a little bit unsure about the attic. How does he do this? Well, how does she do this? The author's Lucy Strange. Well, the first way that she does this is she makes the attic, she tells us the attic was hidden, which makes it almost seem forbidden. So I would write, she makes the attic seem forbidden. And she does this by explaining at the very beginning of the chapter that it was hidden away. And also at the end of the chapter, Lucy feels, not Lucy, the main character Henrietta feels guilty about being in there. So by creating this idea that it is forbidden, she makes us feel uneasy about the attic. She also makes us feel uneasy about the attic because it seems to hint that something bad has happened. About halfway through the extract, the character Henrietta talks about how the attic seems like it used to be a room for a young boy. And this leaves us, as a reader, with questions about what the attic was and why it was left abandoned. We need to try and shape this into a 3 marker. So we say the first way she makes us feel uneasy, she makes it feel restricted or forbidden because she says this. We could then say she makes it feel as if something bad has happened there because in the text she says this. Have a go at writing your answer for number 1. Number 2 is also a 3-marker question, so it should be structured in the same way. But this time it's what impression do you get of the attic? We're not talking about the author anymore, we're just talking about the attic, and this one's a little bit easier. So I get the impression that the attic is abandoned, because in the text it talks about cobwebs and mouse droppings. I also get the impression that the attic used to be home to a little boy, and we could use evidence from the text to support that. Can you come up with 2 impressions, so what you think of the attic, how you picture it, and then support those impressions with evidence from the text? Once you've completed your guided questions, move on to your independent questions for today.